Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new weekly painting, but this time I want to do a little bit of theoretical video because I had received some questions about shading or washes and what color to wash, and here I just want to give some guidelines on how I use the shades. And of course everybody will have his own taste, but what I want to do, the purpose of this video, is just to show some principles that I follow when I'm shading. So the first principle, here we have most of the shades from Games Workshop, and I will talk about these ones in this video. I have more here, so let me just remove this thing out, and you see that I have I think if not the full lineup, most of them, the ones I use the most. So but we go from in washes we can go from yellow up to black. Okay, that we have here the Noon Oil. And the first principle I should advise when you do shadings is that the shading should be much darker than the base color. What I mean, if I'm using, for example, Casandoran yellow, okay, if I want to wash this yellow from here, that is quite a dark yellow, Ariel yellow, it will not work. So it will do very little. I will never shade Ariel yellow. Also, when you apply washes, you have to think that the final color will be darker than what you are doing. One example I want to show is this guy that I'm shading here. So the green I used was quite a light green, and now you see that it's quite darker. So this, I take this into account. Even the yellow was yellow, and now it's quite ochre, and also on. So this is a thing that I have in mind when I'm painting, and it's a thing that you have to keep in mind when you do your shades. The same, for example, for these gem stealers. So I wanted to go for a very dark purple, almost black with some purple tints. So I use purple and then wash it with Noon Oil. Okay. So what you want to do when you wash is think what is the color that you want to achieve. If you want to go for a toned like Ariel yellow, for example, okay? Let's start from something like that. You will not base paint with Ariel yellow. I will base paint maybe with Flash Gift yellow, or even with Dawn yellow, a very light one, okay? And then I will use the wash of Casandora yellow to go to this darker yellow. Let me explain. If this wash will work well on these two colors maximum. More darker than that, it will not do a good job. So this is always the tone that you have to think. I have received a lot of questions if I can wash, for example, Nahar Night with purple. You cannot wash this color with the Dutch Violet. It will not do any effect. You need to go to something darker, and in that case the only thing darker is Noon Oil. Okay, so these are the concepts that you have to have in mind when you are washing. So the color, this color has to be darker than the yellow. So normally what I do, if I want to go for a dark yellow, I use Fuegan orange. So normally I try to think that if I want to shade yellow, dark yellow, I go to orange. If I want to shade orange, okay, I go to red. Okay, I go to Casburg. If I shade red with red, you will not see anything. If you want to shade red, then there are two options, depending how dark you want to go, but normally go to Agua Air Shade, or you can go to Noon Oil, okay? So, if you want to wash light blue, you use Drekhoff Nightshade, but if you want to wash dark blue, you should go to Noon Oil. So you always have to think that when you're thinking for a wash, the wash has to be substantially darker than the base color that you're using, and you have to take this into account that the final color will be darker than your base color, so you will go darker. For example, when I'm washing and doing horns or something like that, I'm washing this Scream School, I will go for something like Seraphim Sepia. Then there is other things that you can think about. Let me go here. For example, on gold. If you're doing gold, okay, on gold you can have some different options to shade. So I shade gold with Seraphim Sepia when you want to go for a light gold that looks quite brown. You can, if you go to have high contrast, you go for agate air shade. But more and more I'm shading gold with Raglan Flash shade because they give you reddish tone. And even in the past, I used to put, sometimes you can add a little bit of Dvachi Violet, or in the case of my Stonecast Eternals, I was applying a little bit of Coelia green shade to give this greenish tonality on the gold. So you can also use the shades to modify the color, to give a tint to your color. For example, imagine that imagine that you are doing yellow. Okay, this yellow you can shade it with a light green. Let's put that I shade it with, for example, with this one, Bieltan green, or you can shade it with how it's called, with orange. So this will give you different directions to go for the yellow. The yellow will look yellow, in that case will look greenish yellow, and the other case will look more the traditional yellow, the orangey yellow. So, but you have also these options to think about when you're doing washes or shades, when you're playing the shades from Games Workshop. So you have different ways to do it. But what I wanted to look here is, especially in the questions, they were asking me, can I shade, I don't know, this color with blue? I would say no. If you shade this color with blue, well, you will have a little, slightly like a darker blue. But I would recommend when you go to middle to dark tone on blue, I recommend more to go to Noon Oil, and you can thin up even more the shades to make the color more transparent and the shade less evident. So. And this was all the concept behind that I wanted to talk here. The other thing I want to talk is I also practice, I also test the gloss that the Games Workshop launched for metallics, and I'm using them less and less. And the problem I see is that they are too glossy. They look wet and not gloss. And you see this one, I even shake it for a long time. But these ones, they look more wet than glossy for me. More, that does not give this glittering of the metal. So even in that case, I prefer to use the matte shades, and I only use the glossy ones when I want really a glossy finishing. And I think that's more the tips. So the main tip is, let me put you some examples and you will understand. If I have these colors, I will go with the yellow, the Cassandra yellow, okay? If I go for darker colors, like this one, I will use Flegan orange. If you go for an ochre color, that can be, for example, this one that is more on the ochre side, I will use Seraphim Sepia. What is Seraphim Sepia? Here it is, moving the colors too much, okay? So as you can see, this is the concept. If I go for orange, then if I'm trying to watch orange, I go for crimson, Carlsberg crimson, right? Something darker. Always go for something darker. If I want to shade red, okay, this red is not working anymore, most likely I will use agate air shade, that is a brown wash. Always try to think what is what happen if you are, or you can use, if you don't want the browny color, you can use even Noon Oil, okay? If I want to shade this green, okay, some of these greens, you can use something like that, Vaca green, I don't know the new color, you can use any of these. Or this is a little bit more turquoise, you can use these ones. If I go for a turquoise colors, like this one, most likely I will use this one, that is Coelia green shade, okay? When using, this was what I was doing. So everything, if I have this that is really dark green, okay, that is Cavalin green shade, most likely I will use on Noon Oil, or I will try with the back of a nice shade. This will really make a very nice, depending how you want to go, this will enhance the turquoise concept. this will give more a darker shade. Okay, so but I cannot use this on that. We'll do something, but I prefer to use something darker. If I go really dark in blue, okay, or really dark in green, okay, for sure these two colors cannot be shaded with green or blue. These colors have to be shaded with nude oil. So always think when you're doing a shade that your color have to be darker. You have also to be careful, for example, and here is some problems that I have sometimes with the shade, and it's why sometimes I use the glazes instead of using shades. If you want to shade this color, you will have a problem, because really this is too much. Okay, the jump also, you have to be careful. The jump cannot be too extreme, so you cannot shade the Fenrisian grey, for example. It is almost white with Drakov nightshade. You cannot shade this color with this color. This is going to be too much. So normally what I do and in that case that you don't have the shade, I will look for something like that, okay, and I will dilute this one to give the texture of a shade. Or you can use, I think this will be the main, or I start doing layering. So there is still small gaps in the Gauge Workshop lineup where I don't find the right, and this is why the reason I have a pot of Lamian medium as well, because if you want to do a wash, if you want to give the texture of a wash, it's better that you use Lamian medium. Never use water, pure water, to make a wash, because it will not work, it will not have the right rheology. So no, most likely if I want to shade this color, I will use these two, a combination of these two together to make a shade. Or I will maybe use a mixture of this Lamian medium with this one, and also a mixture of these two and Lamian medium. So there is still gaps in the lineup, but most of the time, if you plan in advance, you will have, it's the same thing if you go very light in green, like this one. This is why they launch this one, the, how was called this, I don't, it's called camo shade. So this one, you dilute it quite a lot and you can have a very nice combination. So also depending, this green combines with this one. This is why they have 2 or 3 greens. But if you have a Bieltan green is more for this type of greens, okay? So always think on that. This is a green with some gray component, with so have more brown, a little bit of red. This green is pure yellow and white and blue. So this is why you have to be, when you start adding a little bit of red, you go to this type of camo shade or camo color. So, but for me the main concept is always think that the wash have to be darker. If the color is too close, the wash is not working well, and it does not go too much to the extreme. If you go too extreme, then the wash is too stark and will not look good. Okay, another example they want to shade, just to close. If you want to shade pink, the best way to shade pink is with the Carlsberg crimson. Okay, so now is a way to practice. Please let me know, and if you have questions on what wash I will use on what color, you can drop the questions in the comments below and I will help you. I will give you my point of view. Of course, there is not a unique, as all painting things, there is not a unique way of painting. There is different, depending as well on the taste of everybody and what you like to do. But here I just want to share how I choose my washes, how I like to use the washes and why. The only thing I'm missing here, just to talk a little bit more about, is the metallics. Metallic is another one that is difficult to wash. When you want to do clean metallic, I see a lot of people, even myself, I try to do it with blue. And then I realized that I don't like how blue looks like on top of this. This blue is too dark, and I think it's better if you use a little bit of nude oil this is quite a difficult one to wash, because if you go too heavy on oil, it looks dirt. But if you go in blue, the blue then is too evident and looks too blue. So there are colors that still have difficulties, and of course if I use agua shade, it will look rusted and dirt. So for example, for this one I will not use washes most of the time, or will use a very thin layer of nude oil and then work with layering. But in that case, it's the only one that maybe I will use nude oil glossy, especially if you're doing a blade. This can give you a good base to start working on. So yeah, that's all what I wanted to talk here. Please leave in the comments below, and if you have more questions about washes and how to do washes, don't hesitate to drop the question below, and I can do more examples, and I can do a real painting work. But here I just wanted to share with you, especially after receiving some questions on what wash to use with what color. I just wanted to share with you what is my mindset, what is the thinking when I am trying to pick up the wash that I want to use. So always the wash have to be darker, and normally I wash yellows, light yellows with yellow, but yellows with orange, orange with red, red with browns, pink with red. So normally try to think what is the darkest part, so try to go for something darker, and in that way you will have a nice shade. Also, if you are not convinced, the other thing to do is just practice this before on a miniature or on a piece, for example a piece of sprue that you don't like it, or something that have a little unique texture. So don't practice on flat, but try to do a trial on a rough surface, and you will see how the washes modifying the color if you're not convinced. So this is all what I want to talk here. Please, looking forward for your comments, and as usual, thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.